Module 1, Lesson 14, Exposure Modes, Shutter Priority. The aim of this lesson is to get you familiar with shutter priority and when to use it. With shutter priority, you're in control of the shutter speed and your camera will calculate and set the appropriate aperture for the lighting conditions. The shutter in your camera comprises of two curtains. When the shutter is closed, it blocks light from hitting your camera sensor. When you press the shutter release button, the first curtain will open, allowing light to affect the sensor. Then the second curtain will close. The duration is called the shutter speed and is measured in fractions of seconds or seconds. The fastest speed, letting in the least amount of light to affect the sensor, will be around 1/4000th of a second. The slowest speed can be as long as 30 seconds or more. This varies from camera to camera. Extremely fast and slow speeds are not so commonly used. The range you will most likely use is between 1/500th of a second down to around 1/60th of a second. This depends on the amount of light that you're taking photos in. Choosing a shutter speed which is too slow can cause problems. Camera and/or subject movement when making an exposure with a slow shutter speed can cause blurring in the photos. I teach more about this in Lesson 29 and in Module 2. Fast shutter speeds are necessary for avoiding blurring of subjects which are moving. People who photograph sports, for example, and have not yet learned to use manual mode, usually prefer shutter priority because it allows them to pick a shutter speed that will avoid a blurry subject. I cover this in more detail in Lesson 28. The speed your subject is moving will determine how you set your shutter speed. Photographing a person walking will not require such a fast shutter speed as photographing motor racing or a bird in flight. The faster your subject is moving, the faster shutter speed you'll need to choose to ensure that your subject is sharp in your pictures. Module 1, Photography Course Challenge number 14. The aim of this challenge is to begin to understand how the shutter speed affects your exposure and also the movement of your subject and camera. For this challenge, you'll need to find a static and some moving subjects. First, with your static subject, set your camera to shutter priority and ISO 400. Have your shutter speed at 1/1000th of a second for the first photo. Now, progressively halve your shutter speed and take one more photo at each speed until you reach 1/4 of a second. So starting at 1,000th of a second, the second photo will be a 500th, then a 250th, 125th, etc. down to 1/4 of a second. Be careful to hold your camera well, as I taught you in Lesson 2. Doing this challenge will help remind you what the slowest shutter speed is that you can hand hold at. When you finish this set of photos, reset your shutter speed to 1/1000th of a second and repeat the challenge with a moving subject, a person walking or some slow moving traffic or the likes. Now, if you've got time, reset your shutter again to 1/1000th of a second and repeat the process with a faster moving subject. Don't forget to take notes of your settings and also the things that you're observing and thinking about while you're taking these photos. Look carefully at the photos on your computer and take notice of which photos are sharp and the shutter speed used for each of them. Remember to save a few of them to your favourites folder. Key points from this lesson are: shutter priority gives you control over the shutter speed. Choosing a shutter speed which is too slow can cause problems with movement. The speed your subject is moving will determine how you set your shutter speed.